Hey everybody, this is Josh with Tag End.
Spencer with Intuition.
We felt it was a good time to just check in, have a casual chat, maybe talk a little bit about how salmon season went.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the Steelhead are really they're in.
Yeah,
They're
definitely.
in. You've been fishing them.
Mhm.
Awesome. Great. Let's start with the salmon. I know it's been over for a couple weeks now. Seem about right to you?
Oh yeah.
A few weeks. Long done. Yeah, okay. How did you feel about the season generally speaking? How was it? Good, bad, mediocre? How did you feel?
Well, I'd say it was pretty slow from what I'm used to.
Okay.
The start of it was kind of like started normal, I'd say. Kind of like slow trickle in, started first couple days were slow, one fish, two fish, then all of a sudden a few months in it started picking up. You get multiple fish per day, and then it'd have those little waves again of like slow action, so to speak.
Okay.
But then there was like when you think the B run was gonna start, there was never really like a B run, it seemed like.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the fish just like went a completely different path this year, maybe up the Columbia, because I heard about a lot of reports on the Deschutes of people getting coho in between the Steelhead. So that was kind of interesting. Normally that's not like a very common occurrence. So there's that.
Did you think the water conditions played any role, or were those pretty normal this year, as far as you could tell?
Could be. I don't know if it had to do with like where people put more fish in, or like you said, water conditions. I honestly, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a biologist, so I'm not like I can't really pinpoint too much about why they maybe went which way, but it definitely was just kind of interesting to see like for how many fish came back our way in the Willamette Valley. We didn't have as much action in the Sandy River, the Clackamas, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. So
but you didn't yourself. It wasn't like blown out and gnarly, or like weird or anything.
The river never really got gnarly. It was just the season was just kind of weird.
Yeah,
as opposed to the last couple.
Okay. Well, you definitely had some success regardless. So, what does anything stand out to you in this season that worked particularly well? Like, was there any trendy kind of things, particular lures, colors, spots, anything that kind of jumps out?
Well, I mean, twitching jigs always have a place.
Yep.
Those definitely like in a pinch, if you were like looking to really pinch something out of the river, the twitching jig always seemed to find one or two fish.
Okay.
And there was days where that was more productive than not, for sure.
Okay.
Colors, yeah, I think there's always the time and place where when there's more fresh fish in the system, you can fish a brighter color to fly.
Got it. Okay.
Or jig or spoon, spinner, you name it, like just something brighter usually gets their attention better. So that was a thing. Twitching jigs were more dominant, I'd say, as far as producing fish. Spoons were definitely good this year. Spoons. I think the thing with spoons too is it's a different action than a spinner and the jig. It's a very violent, erratic action with the jig and the spinner, whereas the spoon seems flashy and aggressive, but it's a very slow, finessey flutter when you learn how to do it right. And we kind of went over that in that one point, and then you nailed one. So the spoon has a very, very strong place when you know how to fish them properly.
Okay.
So
spoons and twitch and jigs stood out to you.
Yeah, falling presentations, slow presentations.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I hadn't fished spoons very often at all, and we had a couple times out where you worked with me and kind of helped me get the technique, and I did. I think that was the first one I've gotten on a spoon. I think was this year.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. And so I know you're not a big bait fisherman, but you fish with some guys that are. Did they have any particular success on bait this year, or was it really just kind of the year of the twitch?
It really didn't have much action for the bait fishermen. They definitely had days where it helped.
Got it.
Let's not give it discredit.
Yeah.
It wasn't like if you fished bait, you were lights out no matter what, right? Like there were definitely days where a lot of the guys, I mean, they were covered in roe, and it was like they tried hard to fish bait. Clearly they didn't have as much action.
All right.
And so, yeah.
Little slow year, huh?
Yeah, just overall kind of a weird year.
You know, I kind of noticed that too on the Willamette. where we had, I mean, just another record-breaking year, I think it was, of fish going up over the falls.
Yeah,
Does
it
that
looked
sound
good.
right?
Yeah.
And I was out there early season like I usually am, and had some success, pretty consistent every day for about a week. I was getting something. I didn't land them all. A couple got off.
Yeah, let's go.
That's coho, and that prompted me to go out and buy the right size net instead of using the giant chinook net that I had by myself on the boat. Maybe I'll dig up some footage of me struggling with that. But I didn't see a lot of nets going up there either.
No, I mean the few times I went up there to check it out, it was not good. And and another testament to the twitching jig there is, there were 15 some odd boats trolling all those times, and each time I went up there, the only fish I landed and the few fish we did catch were all on twitching jigs.
And while you were out trolling,
rig. It was just like when it was slow and I wasn't in the pod, I would just chuck out a twitching jig where I feel like coho would hold, and I would get something.
Okay.
So that's kind of interesting.
All right. It was the year of the twitching jig for the coho out there. I think the first one I got was really early season on a spinner. Saw a couple of those. You always get a few of those, but okay. There were some days there, on the tail end of the coho run, definitely starting to slow down, where, if I remember correctly, you would go out on your own just to like switch it up a little bit and fly fish, and you were catching steelhead pretty early, honestly. It sounded like, and it doesn't, we haven't chatted recently very much, but it doesn't sound like it slowed down at all. It's just like kind of in full swing.
Yeah, I lost one yesterday, actually.
Yeah?
Big old summer, but it wasn't a winter, but it was a big old summer. But yeah, I mean, the winters are in.
Okay.
Summers are still here.
Great.
I know a guy who's been catching 3 summers a day.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's plenty of fish around if you know where to go fish for them right now.
Okay.
So winters are definitely in. Cody just caught one 2 days ago on the lower river. And then 4 days before that, he caught another one.
Oh, great.
So, I mean, there's no shortage of them. The Sandy River's been firing.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's a summer fish or a winter fish, there's definitely a shot of one right now.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So based on what you're seeing, I mean, is it a little, and again, this is total ignorance here. Is it a little early for there to be this mini winter steelhead in the system?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Yeah. So do you feel, or what's the word on the street as far as expectations around the run this year?
Should be pretty decent. If it's anything like last year, fingers are crossed that it's going to be another strong year.
Okay.
The weird thing is they say that the salmon run is a good prediction of what the steelhead run is going to be.
Right.
I don't think that's necessarily based on the river. Because we had a strong coho run.
Yeah.
It just didn't. We didn't have them very, very abundant in the Clackamas and the Sandy. The Willamette Valley just didn't get a lot of them, right? So I think we still have a lot of steelhead coming back, and the rivers that do historically have a strong steelhead run are going to get good fish. So I mean, last year was good. There was a ton of summer fish. There's still summers around. Winter's already coming back. I mean, I feel, and I don't really know much. I've been doing this more than 5 years max, 4 years guiding. So I think it's going to be a strong year, because my belief is that steelhead, you can't really track them down because they go to the ocean multiple times depending on their life cycle. Some die out right after they spawn. Some spawn multiple times. That's why you have a 3-year saltfish, 2-year saltfish, hell, sometimes even a 5-year saltfish if it's crazy. So I think that you kind of have to give the number counts, the return counts, you have to kind of think about it in like a 3-year period.
Okay.
And the last 3 years have been kind of meh.
Okay.
Meh. And now it's like, okay, they're getting good.
All right.
And it's like, oh man. So I think this might be like that strong year. And then we might have a little trickle again.
Okay.
So I think this year might be like a pretty strong year.
And you think it might even be stronger than last year, which everybody was raving about?
Last year was sweet. Yeah, I don't know about stronger, but like I think it's just going to be a strong year.
Okay.
Like I think it's going to be worse steelheading, and I think it's going to be multiple fish in a week type thing again. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I sure hope it's going to be awesome.
So
I don't know much, but I'm hoping that's the case. That's my predictions, and that's kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I know. I felt, it's God, you were really trying to get me to get out there last year. So like, man, this is pretty good.
Last year
So
was stupid.
yeah,
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I do that this year.
Yeah, just try it.
Have you been pretty much just fly fishing for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what has been the trick so far?
Well, there's really no secrets. If you're spey fishing, Skagit lines and sink tips.
Okay.
If you're a fly guy, you kind of already know what that means. If you're looking for a fly, secret fly, it's a black and blue marabou fly or something just dark, in my opinion. When in doubt, black it out.
Right,
Goes with everything.
Yeah,
so
we discussed that.
Yep. But with fly fishing, if you're a spey fisherman, there's really no secrets to it other than a good, consistent presentation. You need to turn the fly over every single time. You need to cast the same distance, the same angle, and swing at the same speed as you work your way down the run. Now, if you're a gear fisherman, I would say like everything works. Bobber and jig, bobber and worm, bobber and bead, spoons, spinners, plugs. I mean, if there's this many fish around and I'm getting them on fly gear, if I were actually fishing and using conventional tackle, that was way more effective.
Yeah.
I bet you that I'd be finding a few more fish right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
So you're looking good. You're excited. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When is it? When is peak usually? Is it January? Is usually.
I always
whatever that means. I mean, we just like the rule of thumb that coho season indicates a good whatever. I mean, there's just kind of like general guidelines. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So, everyone has kind of like their own little thing, right?
Yeah,
but for me, I've always caught a steelhead in the Clackamas on the week of New Year's. So
okay.
Specifically like New Year's Day, the day before, the day after. Like within those 3 days, I've always caught a steelhead. So
awesome.
For me, that's kind of like the start.
Okay.
That's when it's go time.
Okay.
It's New Year's. A lot of people start on Christmas because they've gotten their fish on Christmas Day. I know a lot of guys on the Sandy River that have always caught a fish on Christmas Day.
Okay.
On the Sandy. So for me, based off those two, I kind of feel like anytime in mid-December is like go time.
Okay.
But it's not going to peak until the beginning of the year, maybe even late January is kind of like the peak, if you want to give it that.
All right. And then do you spend like the vast majority of your time chasing winter steelhead specifically on the Clackamas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's my favorite river, not because it's the best river, but because it's beautiful. It's close to home.
Yeah.
If you know it, there's fish in it. A lot of people just don't fish it well. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to learn about that river. And 365 days of the year, you have a chance of catching a steelhead, whether it's a summer or a winter. So for me, yeah, it's always a good one.
Yeah.
Now this season, I will be doing a lot more coastal trips. I will be fishing a few tributaries down there. 4 specifically, I don't really want to tell them right now, but those ones I will be on a lot this winter year. So yeah.
Okay, the tributaries you don't want to mention right now.
Yeah.
Okay, but for steelhead,
they don't need more pressure than they got.
Got it. Okay, cool. Right on. And all right, so you've done that a little bit in the past. And you're just gonna ramp it up this year.
Yeah, I used to fish them a lot by myself, and I did kind of guide them a little bit for gear fishing back in the days. But I'm gonna go full fly down there because there are a few that the steelheading down there is phenomenal between hatcheries and wild fish. Okay, so I'm gonna go get them.
Good. Yeah. Good on you. Awesome, man. Well, very good. Anything else you want to share about like the way salmon season went out, how steelhead's looking? I mean, just kind of some general, anything come to mind? And nothing is totally cool, but
well, I mean, my recap is obviously just kind of, it was not as great as I wanted it to be, but I'm kind of interested to hear what you thought about it, because you did come out a few times with me, and last season you did a few.
Gosh,
last season was good, but
I'm always trying to get knowledge out of you because you're out there all the time. So how do I feel about it? I think I feel similarly, but I don't have any complaints by any means, because usually what I do is I go out early. It's usually mid-September or the first couple weeks of September, but certainly by September 15th, I'm out there on the boat and I'm usually trolling. And I get a few fish. And then when the traffic picks up and I start to have run-ins on the water or at the boat ramp, and
Yes.
and it starts to just be more than I am interested in, then I'm like, okay, that was it for me for the season. So good point, because I spent a lot more time on the Clackamas, either on the bank or on the drift boat with you than I ever have, frankly, and that was a great change of pace to the point where I was just kind of like, cool. I'm really looking forward to going out on the drift boat. So I went out and got one of the earliest ones I've gotten ever on the spinner. It was like the first week of September, and it was a gorgeous fish, hatchery fish that I got to take home. That was awesome. So like the season started off strong. I was like, this is going to be amazing. I started trolling above the falls, and like I said, I spent about 3 or 4 days in a row and didn't get any giant ones, but I got like 2 jacks, lost one, but every day I was getting bites or fish for like 3 or 4 days, and then it shut off. I didn't see any other nets go up the entire time I was out there. It was just me somehow.
Yeah, you were sending me a picture like every day there for a while.
Yeah, and then we'd go out, and we got a few going out, and then it just kind of shut off. And really, it felt like I don't know. I was expecting more. It happened so early, and it was so consistent early on, but nothing impressive. I didn't know big fish, or it was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
It was successful, but I had higher hopes for sure, and I was hoping to be a bit longer. Yeah. So I think I echo that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Like you'd start to see some spawned out fish, some colored up fish show up, and then it just seemed like it consistently got more and more colored up and spawned out zombie fish. You never started to catch really any bright ones after a while, and it just became like
real early.
All right,
yeah,
I think
it was
done.
Real early. Yeah, it just kind of fizzled pretty quickly.
It was not cool.
But I did really. It was fun catching the first one of the season from the bank on a spinner.
Yeah,
instead of so just like kind of getting that magic back. Even though I love trolling very much.
The spinner bite's cool. I mean, it's super fun.
Yeah.
The spinner bite and the spoon grabs are they're aggressive. It's no question when the fish is there, and when they set the hook themselves too, it feels great, right? So
I learned that I got to relearn how to twitch and really dial that in. I feel like I got some good success the first few times I was trying to twitch, and then realized I need to learn a lot more about it. So that was a good lesson that came out of it. I don't think I caught a single one on a twitching jig, couple smacks. The spoon was fun. So I just learned a lot and really got to kind of be like my passion for the smaller river was kind of reignited. And I think a lot of that just has to do with going out with somebody who knew the river, frankly, and more than anything, could manage the boat. So that just opened up, thank you. It just opened up what I love about being on a boat, which was so many more opportunities. I just going to the bank. I would go out in the morning as a means of exercise before work. I'm like, I could go to the gym, or I could get up and go hike down to the river and get a few hours in and do some fishing.
Totally.
And so that's what I opted to do. And that felt really, really good too. But sitting in 100-yard stretch, it's fine when it's an hour or two before work, because you're only going to be there so long. It's like, okay, you do your thing and you go, but not being able to go from hole to hole is a little rough. So it was awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun, and we still caught plenty of fish as far as I'm concerned. But but
still fun.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to the next season always. But I'm interested to get out with you and try this winter steelhead thing out.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, there's just so many mornings, and I realize I'm such a coward, but it's even lately it's been 34 degrees. I go out and open the door. I'm like, dude, screw this. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not out and fishing today or whatever. And I just got to get the right gear and
the right gear helps. But the cool thing too, and I think people forget this, is coming out of like coho season or even like summer fishing, the wake up time's not nearly as early.
Yeah,
like you don't have to be out there at 6.
That's good.
You can't even see your fish even by then anyway, legally.
Yeah.
So wait for things to warm up. The fish need some temperature change too. So the advantage to winter steelheading, and why I love it also, is not only the lack of pressure I mean, there's still people out there who are crazy enough to do it, but steelheading compared to coho fishing or trout fishing is substantially less people.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much easier to find water to yourself. It's so much easier to spend time out there and have a cool day. Right gear, wake up a little later. Don't pressure anybody. Don't rush everything. You know, let the ice not be on the guides so you can fish and not be frustrated. Like, there's a lot of advantages to it, and the days are shorter, so the advantage to that too is by the time everyone's kind of checked out, I'm not catching shit or seeing anything, it's so much easier to just be like, dude, send it, let's go in.
Very good.
Like, we're over it. And you still good. It's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you still have a little bit of your day to make dinner. It's like, that's whatever. So it's not as bad as I think it sounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I said, you know, if you just get the right outer gear and all that jazz and layer up properly, just like any other wintertime activity, you know, I'll go hunting and all that. I mean, I just got to do it. And it's usually cold's fine, rain's fine. Cold and rain, I'm kind of like, nah.
You know, for me lately, it's been the wind. It's
fair enough. Yeah.
My God, like, I'll take everything other than the wind these days.
Good point.
Like,
good point.
Crap, that stuff is so annoying.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'm hoping to go out on Friday, but I am also going to try and do a little bit more winter bass fishing, because that's my thing that I'm like, I really want to dial that in and figure that out. And I don't do that very well. I tend to get into shooting and filming and just doing other hobbies that like make sense. You know, being inside makes sense. But I gotta get over that. So I'm gonna try and get out and
we should do the winter bass thing. I'd love to do that, because I've been thinking about that a lot, and I've been seeing somebody posting a lot of pictures about winter bass, and they're fishing a lake that I want to go fish, and you know that lake pretty well too. So it'd be interesting to get out there and try something different other than just steelheading. I mean, I'm so used to not catching anything. Doing something that's probably not going to give me a fish for a while is not like a bad idea.
Good.
It doesn't bother me. Between muskie, winter bass, and winter steelheading, I really don't catch a lot of fish. Very consistently, and I'm used to that. I'm okay with that.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, I have struggled with that at times, but there gets to be a point where I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna go fishing. I don't give if I'm gonna catch or not. I just want to be out on the water. I'm sure you can relate, and many of you can relate.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely there. It's been a few weeks for me since I've been fishing, maybe 3, which is
that's sad. I mean, you got to work and everything. You got to do what you got to do. Life comes first. There's no doubt about that. But there was like a thing on a There was a podcast that I was listening to the other day, and the funny thing, you mentioned this because it was basically something about like just the reason they got into fly fishing, and they were getting mad about being on the river and everything. And I kind of thought about it as just a general perspective, because most outdoor sports, I think people who try to go pretty hardcore into them because they're so passionate, we find ourselves getting a little bit bent out of shape out there. Whether it's, you know, shooting, hunting, fishing, whatever it is, you name it. If it's adrenaline or outdoors, and it's a test of the mind and the body, at some point one of them cracks. And it's like, man, the reason we started this was to get away from that and let all these things escape. So it's like, I've been trying to think about that a little bit more when I'm out there, which makes that wintertime thing more appealing, I think. Because then when you do go home, you're kind of like, well, you know, at least I beat the mental game of this, or like, oh, I learned how to cast this better, or like, at least I figured out what not to do next time, right? It's,
you know, looking for, it's all a matter of perspective and reframing, well, how you choose to see things. And so good on you. That's a tough lesson. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you know that's a lot of the things that we want to discuss and explore at Tag In, right? Like, so we have Tag In Tackle. That's great. But the reason that's there is just part of a broader approach to fishing.
Make fishing more accessible to everybody.
Make it more accessible to everybody. You know, well, it's
just not that hard, you guys. I promise. It's really not that hard. We make it as hard as we need it to be, or want it to be. I guess
it's the simplifying. You know, we'll talk more about it. Those are definitely, that's one of the things that I want to get into, is have topics that are not just about the fish themselves, or tactics and all that jazz. We're going to do it all, but you know, one of the things I hear less about is just the emotional and psychological benefits of getting outside, in general, but certainly around fishing, hunting, and just doing some of those activities that are, at least in my belief system, are just kind of core to who we are as human beings.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very
it's a cheesy thing people say, but it's like a very primitive instinct of ours.
It's kind of embedded in our DNA. Yeah, exactly.
To go out there and be in touch with nature and figure nature out one way or another, whether it's, picking a berry or figuring out a mushroom or hunting down an animal or finding a fish in a river. Like it is definitely like there's a connection and it's strong. No doubt. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, we're going to dive into that in a future episode.
That would be good.
Oh, there's no doubt we're going to do that. We're going to do that. Well, hey man, thank you again for coming in and sharing your experiences out on the water with me and everybody.
Anytime.
And I think we're going to call that good.
Yeah.
Let's just keep this one. It's still 30 minutes long, so good for us.
We kept it about what we wanted to this time. Coho and then Steelhead season coming up. We didn't go too far off topic this time.
Oh man!
So, and we got you guys a little something to look forward to next time.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Till next time.
Anytime.
All right,
anytime.
Take care, everybody. See you on the next one.